friend, it's Leslie from PlaydatesParties.com, and in a moment I want to share with you my experience putting up my very first balloon arch. Now, it can be really intimidating to put together something as big as a balloon arch, and I thought I did all the research before doing it to figure out what was going to happen and what I needed to do. Now, this was filmed about a year ago, and I wasn't sure if I was actually going to share it, but honestly, one of my favorite things is showing people that you can be crafty and you can be creative, even if it's not something that you consider one of your personal qualities. Because, newsflash, creativity doesn't come naturally to me. So I really want to share with you and show you that you can do things if you put some time and energy into it. Since it was my first time, I actually wanted to go ahead and try and make things as simple as possible. So I bought this balloon arch tape strip from Amazon, and I used that to help me place my balloons and to help me figure out how to actually make it work. And it was actually very simple. It did help me quite a bit. I'm going to show you the entire process from the very beginning to the very end. You can see what worked for me and what didn't work for me. I hope it's helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And now let's get started. Now, the balloon arch tape that I used came rolled up into a really tight coil. So I hung it on a speaker actually for a night or so just to see if I could get it to unravel a little bit. It seems obvious, but you're going to need a lot of balloons. I mean, a lot of balloons. I tried someone's recommendation of putting the balloons in trash bags, but realized it was more hassle than it was actually worth. And because we were hosting at home, I just let the balloons roll around in our playroom for a night. Now, I wanted to try and make sure my balloon garland was centered, so I started by finding the ends of the garland strip and then pulled together the sides of the strip until I found the center point. This was made a bit more difficult because the balloon tape was still pretty darn curly, but I made it work and still found the center in the end. Now that I'd found the center of the balloon tape, I used zip ties to hold the balloon garland strip to my backdrop frame, which is made out of PVC pipe, and I will link the tutorial to that down below. But this allowed me to adjust the strip a little bit while I was adding balloons later. To add the balloons to the strip, you'll need to push the knotted end of your balloon through the bigger side of those holes. Then once you pop it through, you'll pull it up into the smaller hole so that the balloon stays put. Since this was my first balloon arch, it felt easier to me to add the balloons with the tape on the backdrop frame. So I started in the center, which was my focal point, and then I worked my way out from there. It's tempting to try and stuff balloons into every single balloon hole in the strip, but if you do, you might end up with balloons popping out like this one did. Eventually, I noticed that the weight of the balloons from the top of the strip was causing it to sag and pull the balloon tape up from the sides of the frame. So I added a couple more zip ties on the side of the backdrop frame with a balloon just underneath so that the balloon strip couldn't slip anymore. And it worked like a charm, see? No more sagging. And from there, I just kept adding balloons, alternating from left to right to try and keep the overall design as balanced as possible. In total, I used a little more than 60 balloons directly in the balloon tape, and it took about 2 hours for me to assemble this pretty much entirely by myself. Now that includes time to stop for taking these videos and also to help my kids every now and then. So it might take you a full 2 hours to do the same amount of balloons, or it might even take you a little bit less time. But I would definitely recommend planning for 2 hours if you don't have help and if you're not assembling the garland in advance. When all that was done, there were still a few little areas here and there that I wanted to fill in with some smaller balloons, but they wouldn't fit using the balloon tape. So I used these glue dots that came with the kit to attach smaller balloons to the bigger balloons that were in the balloon arch strip. I used at least 2 glue dots for each extra balloon, and at first they looked like they were going to do a great job, but to be honest, the balloons started falling off the glue dots by mid-party. The kids didn't mind, however. They thought it was great fun to play with the balloons in the pool we had. And that was pretty much it. In the end, we had this really fun balloon arch that was over top of our ice cream dessert table. I loved it, the kids loved it, and it was a lot of fun pulling together. I hope that you found this helpful and that you learned something from it. Let me know in the comments section if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be back again very soon with another fun party tutorial.